What's up guys, welcome back to another awesome episode of the Database Management video series. My name is Dinul Perera and I'm a software engineering undergraduate of Java Institute, and I'm here to empower your inner skills of the software engineering field. So today we have question number 26 of the Database Management video series. So let's go check it out. So if you have been in touch with us, you know that question number 26 is actually part 10 of the question number 16 of the Database Management video series. Question number 16 is actually a one week question, so I thought of dividing it into video questions separately, so it's easy for you to refer. So if you haven't watched these videos from question number 16, you can go ahead and check them out if you want. So I will include the video link of question number 16 in the description below, so you can go ahead and check it out first. So this is question number 16, but today we have question number 26. So in question number 26 we have SQL query questions. We have 4 of them. So we'll tackle one by one, and I am going to use the SQL software, which is the software that I am going to use to execute these queries. So my first question is, I just open a marker to okay. So my first question is, find the sum of marks obtained by Amanda Moses. So according to the table that we have given, according to the data we have given, Amanda is the first name and Moses is the last name for the subjects for the first term. Okay. Now we have to filter data only for Amanda Moses and only for the first term. Okay. And we have to find the sum of the marks. So I'll show you how I'm going to do it. Okay. So first of all, we have to select all from exam underscore marks underscore db dot the marks table. Okay. So now we have all the details from the marks table. Then I am going to filter out the details where of the student whose index number is which is equal to, now I am going to use the theory of subquery. So I am going to select the index underscore number from the exam underscore marks underscore db dot the student table, where the first name is equal to Amanda, and we have to put and the last name should be equal to Moses. Okay, let's run this. Okay, now we have all the values of the student who has ID STU underscore 004. If you look at the student table, that student is Amanda Moses. According to the subquery, we have entered. So STU underscore 004 is Amanda Moses. Okay. So back to the query head. So next we have to filter out another condition. I am going to use the condition and. So and the exam underscore term underscore ID should be equal to, sorry, I am going to use another subquery in select term underscore ID from the exam underscore marks underscore db dot the exam term table. I am extracting data from the exam term table where the term name is equal to first term. Let's run this. Okay, now we have all the details of the student Amanda Moses for all his of all her subjects, but only for the first term. Now we have the marks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get only the marks. So now I have all the marks of the student. Then what I'm going to do is I have an SQL function called SUM, which you can use to find the sum of values of a specific column. So the column that I need is the mark column. So I'll just run this. Now I have the total mark, and I'm going to rename this column as Amanda's total for the first term. That's it. So I'll run this query. So we have Amanda's total for the first term is 265. Okay, that's the answer for the first question. Okay, one done, and you have 3 to go. So next question is, what is the sum of the marks obtained by Nisansala Vikramanayaka, a student studying in class 11B? Okay, so then we have the term which the exam was held. Okay, in this question I am going to break down the answer into 8 parts. So my first part is that I'm going to delete this all. Then I am going to select all data from the exam underscore marks underscore db dot the marks table. Okay, here we have all the data. Then my second step is inner joining the student table. So I am going to use the theory of inner join to do this question. So inner joining exam underscore marks underscore db dot the student table. I am going to inner join the student table. Now I have to give the condition when I am inner joining. So my condition is the student underscore marks underscore db. When you take that table, you have a column called student underscore index underscore number. So I want that column to be equal to the index number of the student table. Okay, so I'll run this. So now I have the student table combined to this table that we got earlier. Okay, next I am going to inner join. I'm going to also inner join the exam underscore marks underscore db dot the class table to this one. Class table on the condition in the student table you have a column called the class underscore id. So I am going to select that, and I want that column to be equal to the class id of the class table. Okay, let's run this one. Now we have the class table connected to this as well. Okay, next my fourth step, I am going to inner join the exam term table. So inner join the exam underscore marks underscore db dot the exam term table. This exam term table is inside this exam underscore marks underscore db database. So the condition that I am going to give is, on the condition student underscore marks underscore db, when you take that table, we have the column called exam underscore term underscore id. So I want that to be equal to the term id of the exam term table. Okay, now let's run this one. Okay, now we have the exam term table connected to this as well. Next, as my fifth point, I am going to give the condition. So my first condition is I want the term underscore name to be the second term. According to the question, it's asking for the second term. So the second term. So once I run this, Once I run this, I only have details for the second term. As you can see, the term name is always second term. Then, and I am going to give the class as B because they have specified us that the class name of the student is 11B. So I want that to be equal to 11B. So I want that to be equal to 11B. Okay, then what I am going to do is I am going to give the condition that the student has the first name and the last name. Her first and last name. So I am going to enter that. So I just take the data from this table. So first name should be Nisansala and the last name should be Vikramanayaka. Okay. Once I do this and run this, now I have the details of the student only. Okay. Next, as my last step, I am going to, according to the question, they are asking the sum of marks obtained by the student. So, as in the previous question, I have to, instead of putting this asterisk mark, I have to include the marks table when I get the total mark of the student for the first term, for the second term, sorry. So now I have to rename this as Nisansala's total for the second term. Okay, now this is the final answer for the second question. Now I have two more questions. So for the third question, I have find the sum of the marks obtained by Sachitra Vikramasinghe, and they have given us his student ID. Okay, that's an advantage for us because instead of mentioning his first name and last name, we can straight away apply a search using this student ID. So what I am going to do is, as they haven't given us any details about the class table, also I don't have to use the theory of inner join, so I can straight away use the theory of, but in this case I prefer on using the concept of, I'll be using the concept of inner join. So there's a specific reason I choose the concept of inner join, so I'll tell you on the way. So I'm going to open my SQL browser. So just delete all that. Deleting all that, I am going to first, as usual, I am going to select all from my exam_marks_db dot marks table. So these are all the marks. I have to select all of it, or I select all columns. So now I have all the details of this table. So my next step in doing this question is I am going to inner join the student table. So just inner join the student table. So exam_marks_db dot the student table. So in the student table, what I am going to do is, so I am going to inner join it using a condition. So my condition is inner join student_marks_db dot the student index number. Student index number of this column should be equal to the index number of the student table. Now I have the student table connected to this. So my third point in doing this is connecting the subject table on this main table. So inner join exam_marks_db dot the subject table on the condition when you take the student_exam_marks_db table, so you have a column called subject ID. So in that I'm going to connect the subject ID of this table to this to my major table. Okay, now we have the subject table connected to this as well. Okay, then my next one is inner join. My next step is connecting the exam timetable to this one. So exam underscore marks underscore DB, this is the main database. I'm going to connect the exam term table. So the exam term table, I'm going to give the condition on this student underscore marks underscore marks table. You have the exam term table, exam term column, and I want that I want the values in that column to be equal to the term ID of the exam term table. Okay, let's run this. Now we have the exam term table connected to this as well. Okay. My next step is giving the conditions. So my first condition is that according to question, the term name should be equal to first term. According to the question, they are asking only for the first term, and the first name of the student. First name of the student is Sachitra. Next is Vikramasinghe. So Sachitra, and the last name should be, this should be last underscore name should be equal to Vikramasinghe, and what I am going to do is I am going to now according to the question, the subject name can have two values, that is, one can be mathematics and the other one can be, this should be inside both, so should be science. Okay, let's run this. Okay, now we have only the details for the subject of maths and science. So the question is asking only the sum of the marks. So I am going to use the sum function, as you can remember in the previous two questions we did. So sum mark. So let's run this. Okay, now we have the sum of all the marks for maths and science. So just rename the column as total for maths and science for Sachitra. Okay, so this is the total mark. Okay. My next question, now this is the end of the third question. So my last question is find the sum of the marks obtained by all the students of 11B. Okay, 11B. So the subject of mathematics for the second term. Okay. Now there's an important thing you should understand in this question. They haven't given us any details about the student, that means the first name or last name. They haven't given us anything about that, but they have included the class name. So if you check the MySQL workbench, I am going to quickly open the MySQL workbench and I'll show you the ER diagram of this database. So this is the ER diagram for the database that we have selected. Now my database is exam_marks_db. So as you can see, we have connected the subject. In the previous questions we connected the subject table, the exam table and the student table, but every time we connected the class table, we also connected the student table. The reason is that here's our marks table, this is the main table, so our main table does not have a direct connection to the class table. So if you are going to connect this to our table, we must connect it through the student table. Now this connection is the only connection that there is to connect with this class table. There is no other connection. So if you are going to connect the class table, you also need to connect the student table. So I'll just answer the last question like this. So just delete all that. So select all from exam_marks_db dot the marks table. So I run this now. So this is my first step in doing this question. So my second step is joining the student table that I discussed like earlier. So inner join. So when we are mentioning details about a table, we must always mention the database. Otherwise, ADSQL does not know where the database is, where the table is situated. So now I am going to connect the student table. So now I have to give the condition. The condition is that when you take this table, the marks table, you have a column called student index number. So I am going to select that, and I want that to be equal to the index number of the student table. So when you are mentioning the details about a column, you must include that inside the grave essence. This is called grave essence. So I'll run this. So now we have the details of the student table connected to this marks table as well. Then my third point is connecting the class table that like we discussed. So inner joining the class table, exam_marks_db the class table, and the condition is that when you take the student table, you have a column called the class ID column. So I'm now we have to mention that within grave essence. So I want that to be equal to class ID of the class table. Okay. So I'll run this. Now we have the class table connected to this as well. Okay. My fourth point is connecting the the subject table to this table. So inner join exam_marks_db dot the subject table on the condition subject ID of marks table should be equal to the subject ID of the subject table. Okay. So this is our condition in joining the two tables. Okay. Joining the subject table. Joining the subject table. So now I have the subject table connected to this as well. As you can see, at the last we have the subjects. Okay. My next step is connecting the exam term table at last. So inner joining the exam_marks_db dot the exam term table on the condition that the exam term ID of the student of the marks table to be equal to the term ID of the exam term table. Okay. Now I run this. Now we have the exam term details connected to this as well. Okay. Last, what I am going to do is I am going to give the conditions which I need the data. So my term name should be second term according to the question. According to the question, they are asking only for the second term. And the subject name to be mathematics. Subject name to be mathematics, and also the class name and class name to be 11B. Let's run this. Okay, now we have all the details of the students of class 11B for the subject of mathematics for one, but only for the second term. Okay, now what I am going to do is, according to the question, they are asking the sum of the marks. So that's exactly what I am going to do. So you go on to the top and you delete this asterisk. Then I am going to include the names of the columns. So I need the sum, so I use the sum function. So mark, I need the sum of the marks. So this is the sum of the marks. So as I am going to rename it as total marks of 11B students for maths in the second term. So I rename it as total marks of 11B students for maths in the second term. This is the total mark. Okay. So that's the end of the fourth question, and that's also the end of question number 26 of the database management video series. So I'll hope you guys to see in the next video, that is question number 27. So stay tuned in for the channel. So if you haven't subscribed for the channel, you can go ahead and subscribe that, and you will be notified by the latest content of this channel. So until from the next video, see you guys then. Bye bye.